We're very excited for our next speaker is Jeremy Edberg. He's currently the reliability architect at Netflix. I could use a little help with my reliability, but they're keeping me honest on the time here. So that's a huge job, and previously he worked at big companies called Reddit, eBay, and SendMail. He's also a startup advisor and investor. As I've been asking everybody along the themes, his mission is to do something that people remember. On that note, Jeremy, if you are there, his talk is called Very Startup-y and Inspiring.
Thank you.
Take it away.
All right, thank you very much.
Give it up, guys. Look up. Whoa.
Is this on yet? No. Hello?
Yeah,
all right, cool.
it's on.
We are good to go. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy Edberg, and I'm here to lead you through 20 minutes of exercise to warm you up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm here to talk to you today about, I'm here to inspire you. Why am I here? I'm here to inspire you because I said, what should I talk about today? And the organizers of the event, well, one of them said, you should do a thing about memes. And I'm not going to do that. There'll be a few in here, but I'm not the whole talk. And the rest are like, just do something inspiring. It doesn't really matter. So my goal here today is to tell you why your company needs to do something that matters. And my hint to you is that it's not just because it's for profit. So what's going on here? Why are we even here? Everything is moving online, right? And this is great for us as startup founders because what it does is it makes it really easy to start a business because we have all this leverage. It also means that it's really easy for everybody to share information. And so my theme today is to convince you that sharing is good. It's okay to be a capitalist hippie. You know, it's okay to want to try to make money and do something good and share. And I have no idea why he's holding a gun, but he is, because I steal all my pictures from the internet. So I'm going to tell you a story. I figured the best way to inspire you is to tell you some stories about places where I've worked and what they have done to be socially beneficial. So what have the places that I've worked done to help society and, frankly, helped attract me to go work there along with other people? Because that's one of the big advantages of doing something socially beneficial is it attracts employees, people who want to join you in your mission. So who am I? As you heard, I've been around for a while. I worked for a couple of different startups in different phases, as well as I'm actually at Netflix now, which is a 12-year-old public company, but it acts like a startup. I was at SendMail. I was an early employee there within the first 100. Then I went to eBay, where it was not quite a startup anymore when I got there. They were already public, a few thousand people, but the employee growth was huge while I was there. It was tripled in size. We acquired Skype. We acquired PayPal in that time. I got a chance to work with the PayPal guys. That was really cool. Then I worked for Reddit for a while, and I was actually the first employee there. So that was the youngest startup that I've been at. And now, as I mentioned, I work for Netflix. So what I've done is try to seek out something that matters. Any time I look at a place to work, I always try to at least look at, what is this company doing that matters? What are they going to do that's actually going to change the world that might be remembered 100 years down the line? And so I'm going to go way back to when I was a teenager, to my very first business. So my very, very first business was selling these things. What I would do is I would drive down to this really crappy part of LA to a warehouse and buy a ton of these cards and then drive back to my fairly nice, rich neighborhood that I lived in and sell them to all the local kids at the teen center and at other people's game shops. So, we would be in the game shop and I'd be like, hey, I can sell it to you for half his price. Of course, I figured out later on that the reason that I was able to sell it for half his price is because I had no business license, was paying no taxes, and had no overhead, and my parents were paying for the fuel to go buy the cards. So, I learned my lesson about being a capitalist. Wasn't so much of a hippie then. Then I went to school, and for those of you who don't know, this was sort of in the 60s. This was the center of hippiness in the United States. It was Berkeley. And that's where I learned that sharing is good. Part of that I learned from, I worked at the university, and I learned that a lot of the tools that we use were developed right there at Berkeley and given away for free. BSD was developed in large part at Berkeley, given away for free. SendMail was developed there. And in fact, that was the first company I went to go work for. 20 plus years after he left Berkeley and open source SendMail, Eric Allman created a company to sell services around his open source software. And I thought to myself, this is really complicated. And so that's a really good idea. This is a SendMail configuration file. And this is a really good idea. Let's help people use the software, but still give the software away for free. And so that's why what really drew me to the company was that at the time, this was a totally unproven model. Nobody had made money doing this. Red Hat has since proven that model. I believe they're the first billion-dollar open source company. And SendMail is still there. But they're now making, unfortunately, they're making closed source appliances now. But they do still develop and support the open source software. Then I went to work for eBay. And eBay at the time had already proven its model of getting people to buy things from other people on the internet, but a lot of people didn't trust that. And so I actually worked in the security department. I worked with the trust and safety department. And what I was doing was actually helping track down criminals. And I thought, this is a great thing. We're making the entire internet safer and better. Because we were tracking down people who were not only trying to defraud folks on eBay, but on PayPal and on other companies as well. And we were actually working with these other companies. We started something called the Anti-Phishing Working Group, along with these other companies. And so, we were actually doing something that I thought was pretty big. We were trying to educate everyone on the internet how not to get stolen from. And another thing that we were doing is eBay was unique in that they had a foundation that was started with pre-IPO stock. So the foundation was created just before the company IPO'd. The pre-IPO stock went in. Company IPO'd, did extremely well, kept doing extremely well, and the endowment actually just kept growing and growing and growing. And at least in the United States, there's these rules that you have to give away a certain % of your endowment every year to maintain your charity status. And so they actually had a problem that they couldn't give the money away fast enough because eBay was doing so well. And so they started enlisting employees to help give the money away. They would do donation matching. They actually had some of us employees come and sit on the committee to decide which grants we were going to give. So, I thought, that's really cool, and that was really social. And that actually drew me in and kept me at eBay for a while, was the fact that I got to work on the foundation, because you could only work on the foundation if you were an employee. And so that actually got me to stay. While I worked there, though, I found this website called Reddit. This is actually what Reddit looked like on the day that it launched. It looks a little bit different now. This opportunity came up to meet the founders. They had a startup school, and so I flew across the country, and I met the founders, and I loved their ideals. I loved what they were doing. They wanted to just create a place on the internet where people could go and share links to stuff they liked. There was no comments at the time. And I thought, hey, that's a really cool idea. This is a great way for people to share. And also, I don't know how many of you are familiar with what Alexis, the founder, has done since then, but he actually has founded a charity that has pretty much changed the way charities work. He publishes books and gives all the money to the author, which is totally backwards from how publishing usually works. And he donates the rest of the money to charity. And so he was just really idealistic, and that just really drew me in. And I found out later that also the thing was growing like crazy. I mean, in the first year alone, it was looking at 11 million page views a month, which was incredible. And so actually, I did them a favor. They needed to come to California, and they needed a place to stay. And so I said, hey, come stay at my place. All you have to do is write a feature for me. And so I actually forced them to force the developer to write a feature for me. But I felt like I was doing a good thing because I was helping all of the Reddit community by getting this feature done, and at the same time, I was sharing my home with them. So it was all about sharing and giving. They did launch comments. This was the very first comment on Reddit. If you read it, you'll see that it's very negative. It's just add unnecessary features and profit. Is this really what you want? But it turns out that comments are the most popular part of Reddit now. More than half the posts are text only. People use it as a way to share information. So there's some breaking news. I remember once there was like an uprising, I think it was in Thailand. No commercial news company could get in there to get the story, but Reddit had the story because one of our users was live updating a post that he made with breaking news about the story. And all the rest of the news organizations were actually going there to get it. And so, I thought to myself, this community, this is an amazing thing. And a funny side note, the excuse me, the acquisition of Reddit was actually negotiated over a game of Halo. So they invited over the head of acquisitions for Condé Nast and invited him for some video games, and they ended up negotiating the whole deal. So I did, and then I went to go work for them. And so this is actually all of us at it's his wedding right there. I don't know if you can see the laser pointer, but that was the founders and me at his wedding. And Reddit, in case you don't know, is a font of useless information. Useful? No, I did that on purpose. You can see we have the pizza pie. Here's your memes. I don't know if Alistair's out there, but this is the memes, for example. I don't know if you know what those are, but if you do, great. Another meme that came out of Reddit. But you know what else Reddit did is it just kept growing and growing and growing and becoming more and more influential. So we started trying to give back. The first way we gave back was we went on a drinking tour. We went around the country, and we bought drinks for the users of the website. And this was kind of a marketing ploy, I'll admit. It was we actually were hoping to get advertisers to come down and see all of these people that were using Reddit. But it was a huge eye-opener for us, because what ended up happening is we were sharing these drinks with these people, and we were learning more from them than they were getting from us. We were so excited to meet these top users who would come out, and it's like, oh, you're that guy. We actually ended up hiring one of those people later on after we met him. And it was just, this whole going around and sharing this community with everybody was just amazing to us. And then another thing that we did was we actually open sourced the code. We thought to ourselves, it's the community that's really our big advantage. It's not our code. So let's make our code open. Let's let other people look at it. Let's let other people contribute what they want to it. Let's let other people use it for their own websites. And I've talked to countless people who tell me, oh, I'm so glad you guys open sourced Reddit because I've actually used chunks of your code. I was talking to the Pinterest guys, and they were telling me how much they enjoyed using our code as a sort of a guide for when they were growing their site. And so, that was great. And I'm a huge fan of open source. I've, ever since I went to Berkeley and learned all about all the open sourcing they did and worked at SendMail. So I was really glad that we decided to do this and that Condé Nast let us. In fact, they didn't even push back on us at all. They were like, yeah, that's a great idea. So we were really happy about that. The next thing we did was our Reddit Gold program, which, again, was not really a giving thing, but it turned out to be, because what we did was we told people, you can have it for free if you just send us a postcard. And so we ended up with an entire wall of postcards. And this is actually kind of what motivated me to come to work for a couple years, because I was commuting an hour each way, and then I would get to the office and I'd see these postcards and be like, these are the people that I'm working for. This is the community. And it really helped embody that community. And just everything about that community just kept growing, and that's really what kept me going. We had a rally in 2010. We didn't really have a rally. Stephen Colbert had a rally, and we showed up, but we definitely helped sort of push that. It was the biggest gathering of Reddit users ever to this day. I think there was like 10,000 or something like that. This is me. I think I was breakdancing. I don't really know. And then the really amazing stuff started happening. This guy is a white guy who has lived in Japan with his Japanese wife for a long time. And after they had the earthquake in Japan, this girl posted on Reddit saying, I'm really worried about my grandmother. We can't get in touch with her. And she lives near the earthquake zone. And can anyone help? And so this guy reached out to her and said, look, I live in Japan. I live near the area. I'll be happy to help. And so she said, oh, thank you, thank you. She's 80 years old. She can't even shop for herself. We don't know if my uncle can get to her. So this guy went out, and he bought a bunch of supplies, and him and his wife made the trek across town, despite the fact that half the power was out, half the transit was out, and he went and delivered this box to this old lady. and gave her the box. And she was extremely confused as to why this very tall white man was bringing her food. And he didn't speak Japanese. He didn't speak Japanese. She didn't speak English. So eventually, granddaughter got in touch, was able to call her, explain her the whole thing. She still didn't get it, but she said, just take the food, it's good. And she says, how do I pay him? She says, no pay. And so, I mean, and this was just amazing to me, the fact that this happened, that we were running a website where this could happen. And so, this is Reddit's traffic over the life of the site up to like a year and a half ago when I last had numbers for it. And this is the same thing logarithmically. And just that whole experience was, it was just so amazing to see what a website that still had a profit motive could do for the world and the community. After 4 years, I did leave and I went to Netflix. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what is it that Netflix is doing for social change? And Netflix is actually doing a lot. First of all, we're open sourcing a bunch of our stuff. Some of it's already open source. Because we realize that, we're building a cloud platform, and let's share that with the world, because that's good for people, So again, the open sourcing. And we're attempting to change the way the video delivery works worldwide. We're trying to make it so that you can watch what you want when you want to. And I think that's going to be a huge changing factor for entertainment. And, okay, it's not bringing food to poor Japanese grandmothers who are stuck in earthquake zones, but still, it's, entertainment is important, and it's doing something for the social like that. So here's a picture of the internet in a box. I take it around with me for presentations and stuff like that. And so why did I tell you all of this? Well, I told you all of this because I'm really trying to inspire you to make companies that make the world better. Because just because you're making the world better, that goes together with making money. Those two are not exclusive. You can make money and make the world better. You don't have to do one at the expense of the other. And that's really my goal here today, is to teach you about sharing, that sharing is good, and things like that. I love the fact that we're sitting here in Canada right now, and there's the whole Canada is great and shares with its healthcare and helps its people, and the United States doesn't. And so, I love that irony of telling you how to share while we're here in this utopia of sharing. Speaking of which, I have a little rant about, so this is the Constitution of the United States, and that's the metric version of that. And, data wants to be free. And I like to tell people this because a lot of you are doing businesses right now that use data, that make your money based on data, that you look at the data that you're gathering and you do important things with that data. And I want to encourage you to share that. Now, of course, there's privacy concerns with sharing data, but there's just so much that you can do when you share that data. Google has information where they can pinpoint where a flu outbreak is about to start before the CDC can, because they can see all the people in one area searching for symptoms of flus. And so, this is a service they actually provide to the CDC, saying, hey, you guys should check this out because there's about to be a flu outbreak here. Imagine if everyone's entire medical record were freely available for that type of analysis. Now, of course, there's huge privacy concerns with that, and I'm not actually advocating that we do that. But what I'm saying is just imagine the possibilities. If every medical record, if you knew of every symptom every person had, what's going on, you could pinpoint hotspots of disease before they spread all over the place. And that's just one example. And what's really interesting is if you talk to teenagers today, like we have a few of them out there, I'll bet if you go and talk to any of them, they will have no qualms about sharing anything on the internet. I have a cousin who just went to college, and her friends were posting on Facebook, and she goes, look, I'm a college student now. And she posts her photo ID, her room key, her room number, and a picture on Facebook that's available for anybody to see. And I pointed out to her, I'm like, you realize that somebody can get into your room with that. They can make a copy of that key because they know the font size of the letter that it's sitting on top of, and they can get in and imitate you. And she's like, I don't care. That's not going to happen. So, we're going down that road. The younger kids privacy is not even a consideration. It's not something that they value. And so, that's where we're going. And I just want to encourage you, You can start your giving now, in fact, by, my wife asked me to tell you about this. We're collecting the lanyards. If you don't want to keep your little pink lanyard, there's a box to recycle them in. So, please do that, because it's going to help her, because she's collecting them for her classroom when she takes the kids on field trips. So here's my, oh, I'm sorry, that's Tesla's contact information. This is my contact information. So if you want to get in touch, if you have any questions or anything, that's how you can reach me. Thank you very much, and I'll be around the rest of the day.